anything that you might consider of importance, please share with us today. Thank you.
So, thank you. Good afternoon. Yes, I would like to be talking a bit about the energy transition, about what is ahead of us, and what we are facing as energy sector during the energy transition. So one thing is, although there are some from time to time questions whether energy transition is the right direction or not, the fact is that the energy transition is the right way. With the new commission, we ended the period of green transition, which was more a religion than really explained and economical driven. It was the religion-driven approach, which discouraged a lot of people. But when we are looking at it without that green energy religion, we look at the simple numbers, datas. We reached the conclusion that energy transition makes sense, and it makes sense purely from the economical point of view. The reason being, and we have in Romania, we have the example, CFD auctions, investors were ready to invest into photovoltaics with 55 to 75 euro per megawatt for the new capacities. For the wind, it was 65 to 85 euro per megawatt. And those are the real investors putting real money into renewables in Romania. While if you would like to build the same new capacity from nuclear, there is just, I think last week it was published, the data in Czech Republic, where ČEZ signed a contract for the unit, for next units in Czech Republic. The baseload price expected, or the baseload price taken into account the costs, were 90 euro. So it means that the renewables are competitive on the comparable basis, on the baseload price. So from this perspective, although we can still, let's say, debate whether in China or India they might be opening new coal power plants or not, it might be the case. We have to as well ask why they are doing it and what's different in China versus what is happening here in Europe. But that green transition is gonna be economical. It is economical, and it will be happening. But in the same time, it's bringing a lot of challenges, and the reason for those challenges is that the energy sector will entirely change. So the things where all the sector was built from big producers going through the transmission grid, through the distribution grid to the end user, that future will be different. People are going to be producing energy, companies are going to be producing energy, in the same time they will be consuming electricity, but the role of the big producer will be much smaller. As well, the mix of the energy we consume is going to change. So as we are now consuming fuels for the cars, as we are using a mix of coal, gas, wood for the heating, this is going to be migrating towards electricity. It will be migrating towards the renewables, and that massive change requires a lot of attention. It requires as well a lot of investments, and it brings as well a lot of risks, because if you don't do those investments in the well-planned way, if you don't do it in the right way, if you don't motivate the members of that new sector to do the right things, it will be significantly more expensive, and we have to avoid it. So that's something which is going to be a difficult process. And as well, it will require a lot of courage from all of us to explain it to the consumers. It will require a lot of courage of authorities to really incentivize the right investments, potentially to disincentivize some other investments in order to go in the right direction. So that's something which is really ahead of us. Unfortunately, we are living in the environment where we have, let's say, maybe 4 groups of interest. And you can see it now here. So we have the customers, which usually are not participating in discussions, but they have their needs, they have their wishes. Then we have authorities, we have politicians which are representing the customers, or they feel that they are representing the customers and they are speaking certain language, they have certain motivations, and they have certain way of doing the things. Then we have technicians which are looking at the things through the point of view how this might be working, which is not always the way how the customers or politicians are seeing it. And then we have the investors which are looking at where it is good to invest, which might be in the contradiction of what the technicians would like to do, what the politician and the customers would like to do. And we have a difficulty that those 3 or 4 groups don't really understand each other. Those 3 or 4 groups are not really listening to each other, and it's making the energy transition very, very, very difficult. I'm in the region since 2005 when I came to Romania. Since then I was in Romania, Bulgaria, I was in Turkey. There is one thing which is in common for this region, and this is energy is very sensitive social topic. Whether you are in Romania, whether you are in Bulgaria, you might be in Macedonia, you will be reading in media very frequently articles about energy prices, about invoices, and it will be really heating the discussion. You don't really have this discussion that frequent in the Central Europe. You don't have such a discussions in the Western Europe. We are, since I'm in the region, so this is now, unfortunately, 20 years, meaning unfortunately because it shows me how I'm getting older, where we had the policies, not only in Romania, but in the regions, to make sure that we protect all the customers. So we were building all the policies, having in mind that we should make it cheap. We ended up after those 20 years where we have cheap grids, and there are data for it. So the proportion of distribution grid in the household invoice in EU in average is 34%, while in Romania, after the price cap, it will be 24%. We have it as a proportion on the invoice, 10% cheaper, but we have the most expensive energy, the active energy. So at the end, we are paying the much higher price of overall costs because we are just very carefully not investing. And that's not about today, it's long-term perspective, and it's not about Romania, it's about the region. So we didn't invest, and that's why we cannot connect that many renewables, we cannot connect that many new technologies because our grids are not prepared for it. So we have a big barrier to make successfully the energy transition. I'm always using the example like grid being infrastructure like the highways. If I so much insist on having cheap highway, the cheapest highway is no highway because I don't have to do the investments and I don't have to do the maintenance. So that highway is the cheapest. So I can choose to protect my citizens against the cost of highway by not building any of the highways, but we feel the consequences of it, of not building that infrastructure. So it's cheap, but I cannot really benefit from connectivity. I cannot benefit from the development of economy. And as it is stated as well, among others in Draghi report, energy transition is one of the tools of competitiveness. So if you don't invest, we are not going to be competitive. I will try to somehow describe it, what means that competitiveness after energy transition. I will put it a bit to the extreme, so it's not 100%, but if I'm going to be in future, I will be able to charge my car from the photovoltaic during the weekend, where now the price of energy is negative. I can be driving my car for a week almost for free. If my competitors, other countries in Europe, they will succeed with that, I will be in the country and I will be in the situation where I will have to go every week to fuel station. I will have to pay for the fuel, and I will be spending money on something where my neighbors, when it comes to business, my competitors will not have to spend those money, because they are going to use the money wisely. They are going to have the infrastructure which is supporting it. They are going to have the right incentives for the people to consume electricity in the time when it is free. While we are not going to be doing it, we are going to remain with the cheap grids, but we are going to be paying far more for any other energy costs. I know it's very difficult to imagine it in this moment, because there are a lot of things, there are a lot of challenges which are ahead of us, but that's how the future will change. It will change for us as energy companies. Our energy companies, where we are used to have big power plants selling the electricity for high prices, this market will disappear, because there will be far less energy needed, because people will produce their own consumption. They are going to align their energy needs to their capability to produce. They will remain the sector, and it will be still large sector of energy which will need that electricity, but it will be far less than we expect. But we really need to work on it, and we really need to start to imagine that future, and we need to invest for that future. We as well, in many these kind of events, me or my colleagues from the sector, we are always presenting, and we are simplifying the things, and we are saying we are ready to increase the investments, we are ready to invest into the grids to prepare for the energy transition. The cost of it would be roughly 2 packets of cigarettes per year for one householder. And we can do the right things, and we can do in the right directions. But despite the public statements, the main concern for every authority is how to maintain cheap grids. We are locked in that having the cheap grids, and we are going to pay for it after 10 years, after 20 years, where we are going to be looking at our neighbors, maybe not the direct neighbors, but the neighbors in Czech Republic, neighbors in Greece, where in Greece, for example, they understood and they tripled the investments in the grid compared to, I think, 4 years ago. So the investments there are significantly higher in the grids. We can look at Spain. We can debate about the blackout and what was the cause of the blackout. So as I said, there are issues, there are things which needs to be really addressed, because it's not easy. But these countries, these grids are investing significantly more. So Spain is investing roughly 3 times more per customer in the grids than we are investing in Romania. Finland is investing 4 times more in the grids per customer. As I said, Greece tripled the investments. We have Czech Republic, which is investing 4 times more per customer. We have France, which is investing 2 times more per customer. And the result is that their grids are more resilient. Their grids are more prepared for the new energy sector, which means as well, so because many of you are investors in renewables, many of you would like to connect new capacities. One of the outcome of it is, if you come to us and you ask for the connection, the costs are very high. Costs are significantly higher in other countries, but that's not that we would like to get rich from you investing. The fact is, our grid is not able to absorb that energy. We need to increase the capacity. And the methodology is telling us that we need to charge that capacity, those additional investments. We need to charge you for those additional investments. On the other hand, if this is not charged to you as an investor. It is paid by all the other customers, because distribution business is everything what we do is translated into tariff. So if it is not paid by the one who is asking, it is paid by all the consumers in the region, because that's how the grid investment works. We have, and I'm really unhappy about it, but we are getting more and more such a requests. We have the factories, we have municipalities coming to us, which wants to build 1 megawatts, 5 megawatts, 10 megawatts of photovoltaic. And we are coming with costs of connection in the millions of RON, in the millions of euro. The reason is, last 20 years, we are not investing in the grid because the main concern was, let's be cheap, let's make it cheap. One more thing which as well was slightly mentioned here is, and that's what we believe is really, really crucial, in order to disconnect that, let's say, social policy and the necessity of investments, there should be legislation for vulnerable consumers. Because across all the Europe, affordability is very important, and we fully agree that the energy sector should be at the end affordable. But the first step is we need to define the customers which needs to be protected. And this should be the policy of the state. If it is 10% of customers, 20% of customers, that's something which is the social policy which should be decided. But then, once we define this, we should be doing the right things. We should have the courage to do the right things. We should unblock the investments through the right incentives in order to be able to develop the economy. Otherwise, for those 10, 20, 30%, whatever is considered that this is the group of customers which needs to be protected, we are not doing the right things, because we are protecting everyone, but we are protecting everyone against the development of the sector, which is the wrong thing, and we are going to really pay for it, and we have to really avoid. So I hope we have 20 days till end of price cap. I hope that in those 20 days there is going to be legislation for vulnerable consumer, because we had 4 years of energy crisis to define it. So we are in the last few minutes to really make it, because price cap will end, and we don't. And my personal fear is that the end of the price cap is going to turn again against the energy companies. Why is it so expensive? We should not do anything, which again will postpone all the discussions, all the correct discussions for a couple of months, for a couple of years. So I will end here.
Thank you, Ondrej, Safar, for this very thoughtful intervention. And I think that after the first part of the day, when we had so many problems put on the table by the first speakers, you came with a unifying perspective, which is useful. I would just ask you to stay for 1 minute. And in this general framework that you presented, what is the one thing that you are more concerned with your company, something that you can actually intervene on, something that you can do on this period of time in order to stay ahead with EVRYO?
No, we are part of the energy sector, so this is not something I would be specifically concerned. What I would really love to do is, I would love to double the investments. I would love to have a problem with supply chain, because yes, one of the things is, do we have enough companies to build it? Because all the investments are done at the end by Romanian companies. Those are done with Romanian equipment, so this is at the end the money which are spent in the economy. I would love to have this problem. I would love to have the challenge. I would love to have my people coming and complaining that we are running the tenders and we don't have enough companies participating, because that would be the positive problem. So that's, I would love to do.
Thank you. Thank you and good luck with those two very important questions. Let's have this vulnerable consumer clarified and also something more on the investment side. Thank you.